in great detail following intimate moments captured with not just Ghanaian women, but women across a number of African countries. His modus operandi, wearing a spectacle which records or pretty much everything, right? And has subsequently uploaded the footages onto a website and is making money. Ideally, it's something that private or consenting adults engage in, and that is not a problem. But the moment video pictorial evidence become a part of it, privacy breached and what have you becomes a subject matter of quite the concern, and it's generated quite the debate as well on social media, which courted the attention of Communication Minister Samuel Nati George, who had this to say from the weekend as to what the government response is going to be to this particular subject matter.
The Cybersecurity Authority is one of the agencies under my ministry, and I'm sure leading up to the Christmas, you guys saw the clampdown we did on cybercrime and fraud and all of that. Part of what we do is also to deal with sextortion and child online protection. In this instance, I'm sure you're referencing the Russian gentleman who came into the country. Yesterday, I caused the ministry to send an invitation to the Russian ambassador. I intend to see him this week and have a conversation with him. We're taking a very strong view of it. The individuals involved are not minors. None of them is a minor. They're grown-up adults who made decisions. What the Cybersecurity Authority is interested in, and my ministry is interested in, is not in the moral judgment of the individuals. It's in the non-consensual sharing of the videos that were posted online. That is a crime. It's not a crime to be able to convince a man or a woman to go into your room with you in 6 minutes. That's not a crime by the law. That's a personal decision to make. But it is a crime to record a person without their consent. And and even when you record and keep it on your phone, and the person finds out and reports to us, we will prosecute you and you go to jail. That's the law of the land. Now, you don't just record it, but you go and post it on a website for financial gain. That gentleman will be looked for. We will activate every resource in our disposal, working with Interpol. The way we've worked with Interpol to extradite Ghanaians to other jurisdictions, we will request the Russian authorities, and that's why I've invited the Russian ambassador, to work with our law enforcement. We want the gentleman to come to Ghana, to be brought back to Ghana, extradited to Ghana, for him to face the rigors of our law. Ghanaian citizens, irrespective of their decision-making, will be protected by their government. The government of John Dramani Mahama will ensure that every citizen's rights are protected. And you cannot record a citizen without their consent and air that or post that online. That constitutes a crime under the Cyber Crime Offences Act, the Cyber Security Authority Act, CSA Act 1038 of Ghana, passed in 2020 by Parliament. So we will work on it. We're working on it. We'll be with my Lelu team at Cybersecurity is building a full docket. Whether we have the gentleman or not, I intend for us to file a full prosecution. We'll make a representation before the courts, try him in absentia, and get judgment if he fails to show up. But we will not let this go. I mean, my colleague Minister for Gender has issued a statement as well, because most of these victims were women. But we would pursue this to its legal conclusion and ensure that this never happens again. But once again, to our countrymen and women, we urge caution. We urge caution. I mean, we need to be minded about some of these things and careful. But on the legal parts, we will do our part.
Thank you so much, sir.
3
Executive Director of the Africa Center for Peace and Security, is a regular here with us on the 3FM Sunrise. He's joined us via the phone this morning as well for a quick chat. Mr. Kuting, good morning to you, and I trust that you're well.
Good morning, my brother, and very good morning to your production team, to our listeners. In fact, God has been so merciful this morning. I'm doing so great.
Just at the tail end of that inset of the minister, he made a very profound statement about caution and citizens exercising caution. At the heart of this really is a conversation about personal security and possible national security implications as to what it is that we witnessed. What are your own readings into what has played out and the task to have some justice done for these women?
Well, thank you for having me once again. In fact, I find first and foremost the Minister of Communications statement very, very, very unfortunate. To me, I see his statement as a complete slap on the faces of all of us. What is he talking about? Protection? When the crime has already been committed? What was the state doing? The fact is, the facts are what they are. If the state let its citizens down on the altar of politics, these are some of the statements that you get. And I'm not surprised this is coming from the communication minister, which is apparently a politician. His position is by appointment, is that not it? What is the extradition treaty between Ghana and Russia? What was the cyber security and by extension his ministry doing? We have the National Signal Bureau, is that not it? A citizen coming from Russia, there's no any form of screening at our airports. There's no any surveillance put on this young gentleman to see why he's in the country. And after the act has been committed, we come and release big presses and release big statements like this, as if those statements can even bite. I will stop at this and challenge you as media houses that in 3 to 6 months' time, go back to some judge over these comments he has made. He'll be running away from it. These are the issues. I think our national security has to sit up. I don't blame these girls at all for whatever happened. It is the state that has let these girls down. In a proper, securitized, and functioning democracy, this gentleman should have been under surveillance. What is the use of the cyber, the Signal Bureau? We wasted taxpayers' money to set up this bureau just to do counter surveillance on our political opponents. Is that what it was set up for? Go to countries like Azerbaijan, just here, and you will see how they screen citizens at the airport and how they put them under surveillance. Even China here, that is so overpopulated. This thing couldn't have easily gone through in China. They will surveil and see what your motives are. And you see, in this country, look at the economic hardships that majority of us are going through. Any of the girls who are pontification on social media, Ghanaian girls have let us down, they are cheap and what have you. They would have fallen victim to it. Because you know the colonial mentality of our ladies meeting the whites and feeling that they've met their accord. So the state principally has let these girls down, and it's not the fault of the girls. And what the communication minister is saying, it will amount to nothing. The best and what he can do is to make sure that the videos cannot be broadcast here in Ghana. But even that, if you have VPN, you can overpass all these things. So the harm is already done. We have to take stock of our security and make sure that it doesn't repeat itself. And make sure that when we see certain characters enter into our country, we have to be interested in their motives of being into the country. For the fact that it's coming to Russia, it doesn't mean anything. But the state should be interested. What is it really coming to Ghana to do? And look at the political dynamics between Russians and the West over their competition over our natural resources. Why do you just allow foreigners to just come into the country and do as they wish and go away, and we'll be doing this kind of media gymnastics in the name of political expediency as if we are intentional about what we are talking about? So to me, the harm is done, unfortunately, and it's the country's image that has been dented internationally. And any other thing the minister is talking about will come to nothing. And mark my word, it will come to nothing. He's talking about trying this gentleman in absentia. If you try it in absentia, what is he coming to your country to do? He's a first timer in Ghana, is that not it? And we're not interested in what he was coming here to do. Now he has caused the damage and gone. You are talking about wasting taxpayers' money to try a foreign national you don't have extradition treaty with in absentia. How are you going to get him?
Right.
So the minister must take Ghanaians serious. It's a serious national security failure, and the country have let its citizens and by extension these vulnerable girls down.
I hear you on the fact that you don't expect a lot to come out of this, but on your last leg, in terms of what you've been saying, national security failure and implications, of what grand scale can we put this? On what scale can we put this, the fact that an individual could waltz into the country, and possibly which other groupings or individuals are in this country as we speak and are doing as they may please, harming our national security at this particular point in time?
See, if you look at international protocols, there are categories of visitors we rate when you are entering and leaving the country. A first timer, there are different categories you place: first timers, second timers, and those who have entered multiple times. But I'm not sure that is the case in this country. If that was the case, I'm not sure this thing would have happened in the first place. If national security has put surveillance on this man for just 1 week, they would have seen that, why is this man talking to girls at various points? What is his interest and those kind of things? So in that way, you can even plant some of the girls as modes where those girls can go underground. They can be approached by the same man. They know what he does and those kind of things. And this man would have been arrested in the act. That way, we would have been talking about a different thing now. But this country, politics have so divided us that it has even permeated our security architecture institutions. When there are change of government, you see more heads of security institutions going home. It doesn't breed continuity, and it's the country that suffers. So I always say this thing about independence of our state institutions. It's about time as a country we have a very serious conversation about our security architecture, such that their tenure of office is not conterminous to government leaving office and coming. Even look at the kind of appointments we do to our security architecture. Somebody who doesn't have any security background because of political expediency, you put a person there. Even look at our ambassadors, how we appoint our ambassadors. Look at how countries who are conscious about security appoint their ambassadors. If they are posting you to countries where there are security challenges, they often look for intelligence or career intelligence officers or retired senior military officers. Is it the case in our part of the world? No. So in this country, this man is not alone. There are many such men in Ghana, except that it doesn't come to the fore like this guy has done. Let's assume that this guy hadn't been so greedy to go to Telegram to publish these images for commercial purposes. We wouldn't have known. You go to many porn sites, especially their porn sites like Leaks in Ghana and those kind of things. You see innocent girls who don't even know their images and videos are on the internet. And this thing is a complete failure on the part of the state, because we pay taxes, we give responsibility to people to think for us, to protect me and you. So when they go to sleep and some of these things are happening, whom do you blame? It's the state, not these vulnerable girls. And if you look at the girls, many of them, about 99% of their motives were for economic gain. And unfortunately, that is the reality we face as a country. So the earlier we have a conversation about it, the better. And another thing we need to look at is how we can be conscious as citizens in terms of security. Look, if you look at many countries, let's say from GSS, SS to university levels, students are taught to look out for things and be patriotic to their country. And their lines of communication, they can easily pass this information for security agencies to act upon. But look at even our fight against terrorism, the joke we made out of it. When we brought this program called See Something, Say Something. Look at the person they put as the ambassador to such a sensitive program. You see, so we must be, when it comes to certain things like security, education, we should put politics aside, because it goes at the fiber of the country and the direction we are heading towards. In fact, if we don't do self-retrospection and do a reverse gear and correct some of these things, we'll just be there one day and people will take over this country and we don't even know how it has happened. You realize yesterday we were talking about our citizens being attacked in Burkina Faso. 7 people have been killed.
Absolutely.
Cars burnt and those kind of things. Common tomatoes as a country, we cannot even cultivate tomatoes in Ghana. We have to put our citizens' life at risk to go to Burkina Faso to bring us tomatoes. And there's one thing we don't look at. Those citizens, even though they are making money for themselves, they are contributing a lot to the country. And the country must protect. They are going to Burkina Faso and back, given that side routes are littered with violent extremist groups. Just imagine if there's shortage of tomatoes in Ghana or shortage of onions in Ghana. Look at the food security risks is going to bring and the upheaval this country is going to suffer. So as a country, I always say that we are naked, except that it's just by the act of God we are all living. And many of us take our personal security serious because you can't rely on the state for any form of protection.
And that's the last part I'm going to come to, that in instances where you have spoken to present challenges with respect to the state being able to protect the ordinary Ghanaian, what can individuals on their own as well do to prevent situations like this? Because outside of Yatoslav, who has brought this conversation to the front burner, there are others who've suffered same and will continue to suffer same and will be in need of an understanding as to what personal security measures possibly they can take to prevent being victims of such a situation.
You see, Marina, it's a symbiotic kind of relationship. There's an economic mix here. Until we can find sustainable jobs for our youth, this phenomenon will continue. It's just like the prostitutes we find on our streets. If you interview many of them, it's for economic reasons. Many have left their countries and they have come to safe haven in Ghana and they are practicing it. And unfortunately, most of our girls are in there. Now, if the state is not putting the necessary mechanism in place such that the citizens can respond, what really can the citizen do? Look at the response rate in this country when even we have petty crimes. It's so huge. What systems do we even have in this country to protect informants? More often than not, informants are exposed. The other layer is that sometimes you even call the lines. They say that when you are in danger, you call and no one picks. So to the extent that we can fix some of these things on the part of the state, there's really the citizens can really do, because security is very expensive. It's only the very privileged ones who can take steps to protect themselves. These young girls, let me tell you, their history of girls who have met white men and they eventually end up marrying, some taking them abroad, and they are doing well. So that has sunk into the psyche of these girls that, look, I'm also praying to get my Obroni. You see one of the videos when the gentleman went to the church, you heard what the girl said, that her pastor has prophesied to her that a white man was going to marry her. So you see that to marry a white man in this country is a trophy. So when she met a white man, she didn't blink. She felt that, oh, that prophecy have come to pass. So you see the myriad of problems we have as a society, there are one too many. And they come in different shapes and forms. That's why I'm saying that we have to go back to the basics and reorient ourselves. Beyond orientation, we will talk, and then this thing will not happen. Look, I was listening to a story about a bank manager who sold everything he has in Ghana and took a visa to UK. And he's a factory worker there, and he was lamenting. Now, this young man, if you had told him that, no, abroad is not that juicy as you see it, it's not that monies are on the street you go and pluck, he will not understand. You say, if it's not good, why are others going and coming and they are bogus and they have money? So, as a country, I think the Ministry of Gender, in particular, has a lot of things to do. They need to roll out educational programs, especially in our schools, organize concerts, not concerts to promote products like we see when Shatawale and Co will gather crowds and use such platforms to educate our girls to understand that the system is not what it used to be. And I always have this thing to say security-wise. Africa, if we don't take our destiny into our own hands, and we still have the colonial mentality that someone must come and fix our problem for us, then we are late in the day. Just look at the Ukraine war as an example. Look at where Ukraine is. Why do you think Europe and America is interested in Ukraine? Because of the geopolitics. So Africa must come to the realization that, why do they think that the white man is interested in Africa? Do they think that they want Africa to develop like they are, or they are interested in our resources? And it brings another layer, Mawina. Look at how we follow trends, modernity. We want to consume goods we don't even produce. Once you don't produce, how do you grow economically? Now, African countries are discovering oil. The Western worlds have come up with a caveat that now we have to transition to electric vehicles because of environmental concerns and things. So if we all have to switch to electric vehicles, what will be the use of the oil we are discovering in Africa? Unfortunately, our African leaders are promoting this caveat. Meanwhile, U.S. is seeing those things as a scam. And Donald Trump has come out to pull United States for many of these environmental pacts. So in Africa, in fact, it's only God who is our security. What we practice here is not security.
Right then. Mr. Gooding, I appreciate you speaking to us this morning on this very complicated matter. Hopefully there is some respite and some legal action, particularly for the women as well, is taken to protect and safeguard.
There's no respite in this matter. Those legal things they are mounting, to what effect? Is it going to lead to some form of compensation to our girls? No. So it's a complete waste of the taxpayers' money. And don't forget, they'll treat it as a criminal case. The Republic versus the runaway Russian man. Is that not it? And go and look at the cost in prosecuting a criminal case on behalf of the Republic. How is that going to benefit these innocent girls when the state let these very girls down? So let's be intentional and serious as a country. There's no respite here.
Right. Mr. Kuting, I appreciate you speaking to us this morning.
Most grateful, Mario.
That's Emmanuel Kuting. He is the executive director of the Africa Center for Peace and Security, speaking to us this morning on this very, very, very complicated matter. I was seeking to get a legal perspective as well on this, because there's a mention of extradition, right? And is that a possibility? Is the question being asked, and what this could mean as well. But I understand we're scheduled to engage a lawyer, but unfortunately our calls to him presently have not been answered. We'll seek to bring you that perspective as well on this particular matter if you stay with us here on the 3FM Sunrise.
3FM Sunrise.
Matter. Find us on Facebook as well as on YouTube, where we're streaming. So, Sixers, there we have it in terms of the reactions to this development.
Yes.
From security analyst Emmanuel Kuting. He says, look, this is a failure on national security. It's a huge disappointment on that score, and doesn't expect a lot to happen. But at the heart and center of this, in terms of the legal argument, is an invasion of privacy and a breach of the Cybersecurity Authority Act. Then there's a mention as well of extradition. We don't have any extradition laws. In fact, I've been reading from social media some persons who have some working knowledge, right? I'll put it as working knowledge of the Russian constitution. They do not engage in the business of extradition with any country whatsoever. And so that also leaves us a bit sore in the quest to have him brought back to answer questions. And mind you, Yartislav was not only in Ghana, he was in Kenya and some other African countries where he was engaged in this same activity.
Yes. I think the minister advocated strongly what the state should be doing. And maybe the starting point would be to say that even though this offense are cybersecurity laws, it shouldn't just be the communications minister we see in this. I think that we should see our national security architecture at full play in this matter. Interior Ministry at full play in this matter. I think that we should also be seeing the Foreign Affairs Ministry at full play in this matter. I am one of those who don't take this lightly. I don't think that it is, it should be reduced to the decision of a young lady to meet a young man in a hotel somewhere, and for them to do or did not do whatever they did or didn't do. That is really not my concern. I think that beyond that, deep-seated in this whole issue, and beyond all the jest that we are making on social media, are real issues that we should be looking at. There are the bread and butter issues, there are the security, personal security issues, there are the national security issues, there are the human rights issues, there are the human rights issues. So I followed the communications ministry up to the point that he said he has extended an invitation to the Russian mission in Ghana, inviting them to a sit down to see how they can cooperate in getting some action done in this. And I agree with him, because there are also other forces at play. You can't just say, if the gentleman was still in Ghana, different. He could have been arrested, then Russia would then start the firefighting. As it stands now, he is not in the jurisdiction. So we are firefighting.
There's a suggestion, I don't know how true it is, that this is actually not even a recent development, and it could have taken place a year or so ago.
Yes. That is what my reading has also told me, that this thing happened last week or last month or late last year. It's been quite a while. That is what my reading tells me.
Yeah.
So to what extent can we get action from, can the state act in this matter? And yes, the issue of extradition, as the minister has mentioned, is one that has raised serious concerns, because we know that Russia does not extradite its citizens, will not extradite its citizens under any circumstance.
Yeah.
Well, it is said that where there are exceptional circumstances, and these must be extreme, serious circumstances under which Russia will choke or throw its citizen under the bus, if you like. Some states are eager to. Well, you've gone to commit crime, they are coming for you. Go. But the Russian people will not do that. So, but of course, there are always in diplomacy, there are always ways and means. You have something, I need something. This will quell this backlash in my country. You also need this from me to do this in your country. Let's come to an agreement. Let's do. So it's also not an impossibility, even though we know that yes, it is not something that Russia does. We don't have or may not have a treaty with Russia, an extradition treaty with Russia. But this is not undoable. It's not impossible. I think we should look at it from that angle. Because, like I said, there are all angles, a lot of angles that we should be looking at this from. If we come to the rights, the human rights aspects of it, these are women. Even if I agreed to come with you to your hotel room, it doesn't give you the right to record me.
Absolutely. It's the recording bit.
The right to record me. Even if I agreed to lay in your bed with you for the first night that we met, yes,
that's
leave my morality between me and my God.
As for morality, it's not a subject matter for conversation.
Yes, but it does not give you the right to record me without my permission. And it is not to say that, when you were recording, he was smiling, and so he consented. No.
Even if the person consented to you recording,
sharing,
they didn't consent
matter.
To you sharing.
Sharing it. So there are layers to this that we should all be interested in. I mean, I followed the social media conversation, and I'm surprised that
there's a bit more in terms of education that is needed on some of these matters.
On some of these things. That is true. because social media is more about the condemnation, more about somebody even said, well, if Ghana boy, had appeared at Accra Mall, the frontage of Accra Mall, and had stopped some of these ladies,
They would have
they would have
rejected
rejected him, and so serves them right, because it's the color of the skin that they saw, and they were chasing money. Well, that is how you look at it. Every lady has the right to say no to any man he doesn't want to say yes to. That is the starting point for all of us. The person has the right to say no. It doesn't matter how handsome you are, how rich you are, the person can say no. And once the person says no, that no must be the no. Number two, the fact that the person agreed or said yes to somebody with a white skin does not mean that the lady is cheap or does not regard the men with black skin pigments. That is not what it means. It could mean other things, but it does not necessarily mean that the person is rejecting you. Number three, the fact that she said yes, come with me, then she starts following him, does not mean that the guy has the standing consent to do any and every other thing. Our laws have ruled that even, and this is from the Supreme Court, that even at the point that you are, and I'm going to say something that people may not be comfortable with, at the time that you are thrusting, you are in and out of the lady, and she says stop. That word
consent
stop
ends there.
revokes the consent, the initial consent that she gave you to enter. So the moment she says stop, if you are already in, you have to come out. If you are out, you don't go back in. It's a very it's a very it's a very clear and dangerous law that we have, dangerous to men, but that is what it is. And so it does not mean that the fact that she followed you to your hotel room does not mean that, I mean, it must happen. She can enter your hotel room, she can even lay on your bed, she can even be naked, but you don't have the consent, her consent to, or her permission to. Let's be using permission so that we all understand that. You don't have her permission to. And so long as you don't have her permission to enter her, that is that you cannot enter her. It's like that. So long as you don't have a permission to record her, you cannot record her. So long as you don't have a permission to share a recording, even if you do record, you cannot share. And to the extent that you are making money out of it, that is another layer. So how many have we counted? Recording without permission, sharing without permission,
Absolutely.
making money from it. That's in the realm of pornography.
Absolutely.
So you can check the layers. And yes, I mean, life would have been so much easier if the Russian, what's the term again? Balthazaar. If he was still in Ghana, life would have been so much easier for both the victims and the state. Would have given us an opportunity to test our law, to see how, to what extent the courts would indulge or stretch our law. I mean, that wouldn't have been. But the man is out. And so that is why I said that we need all of those other ministries to coordinate to be able to get some action on this. There's also the question that has been asked whether the ministry, not the ministry, the Cybersecurity Authority, the NCA, and the Communications Ministry at large, I don't know which agency specifically to put this on, whether they cannot even pull down these videos or block these videos. That's also a question that we're looking to ask the agency, to see what can we also do whilst waiting to deal with the legality of it. Can't we just pull down the videos? Can't we block it? Can't we ensure that the circulation on social media stops, the circulation on WhatsApp stops? Is that impossible? So that, I understand that marriages have started breaking.
I don't want to speak to those because
No. It's a consequence of the act, and whether we like it or not, we cannot hide that one. It is a consequence of the act, and it is one of the things that will come up strongly and stretch this conversation. I have been reading about one particular one that says that it's a real estate dealer, and as for her only intention for going into or following the man to the apartment
also because he
was
had
to go and
expressed interest
sell
in
an apartment, and that nothing happened. When she realized that this was what the man was up to, she told him off, took her transport from him, and went back to his office. And at every stage, according to what I read, the lady kept informing her boss and some of her colleagues at the office. So in a situation like this, how do you say, holding that is the truth, the story holds true, how do you hold this lady to the same measure or standard as the rest of them, to issue a blanket condemnation of all? So the appeal also would be that let us stop, the mockery on this matter. And mind you sharing it, yes, you sharing it from one WhatsApp platform to the other, you are also breaking the law.
Absolutely, that needs to be stated.
You are also breaking the law. You are sharing it from one WhatsApp platform to the other, from one Facebook page to the other, from one TikTok or Snap or X, or you are also breaking the law. In fact, it's possible that there is somebody who has not even seen the video, but for your sharing of it. So let's help. There are little ways that we can all help our sisters who are victims of this. I have also seen one video that the lady says, mine is not part of the ones you are all seeing, but it may come out. So let me take the lead to say, I am sorry.
Do damage control and all of that.
Yes, to say, I am sorry. Forgive me. You don't know what I am going through. You don't know why I went there. All I can say is, I'm sorry. People will be traumatized if they already are not. Marriages will be broken if they already are not. So let us help our sisters. Don't reshare. Even if the boys are saying, oh, make us see, make you not see them.
Very, very important.
Don't share.
Very
don't
important.
Share. It is another way we can put a stop to this, because once you share, you are enabling it, you are propagating it, and you are further publishing. So please don't share it.
Right. DJ Phil, I'll need some calming
But when
music.
he started with that song, the song you played just after,
choice in terms
you
of,
know, Atia Donko.
is it the episode song or which one?
I don't know whose song it is.
What? How does it go? Like?
I say Atia Donko.
Yeah. I think I know that one. I know that song as well.
You know the song.
Yeah, I know the song. I know the song.